If you're wondering what skills are going to persist in a world of I would challenge you to think about what skills are most valuable for human in-person interaction. Those kinds of skills are not going to go away. And yes, they can be transferable to remote work environments, etc. But the thing to call out is that there are certain modalities of being human that AI is not very good at. I'll give you an example. Recipes. AI can make recipes, but pretty consistently so far in blind taste tests, humans prefer human-generated recipes. AI tends to overemphasize a particular flavor profile. AI tends to be less nuanced. And I believe this is because AI doesn't have an effective feedback loop. AI doesn't taste. AI doesn't bake something and say, this cookie isn't quite right. It's just a little bit dry. Let me see if I can modify it. Humans do. And the best human chefs are going to be repeating and getting that feedback loop going with their own taste buds, with the taste buds of their customers until they get something exactly right. That doesn't mean we're all going to become chefs in the age of AI, but I think it's a good example. I'll give you another example. AI is better and better and better at medical diagnosis. Every single model so far released in 2024 has been incrementally better. O1 was a big jump in medical diagnosis capabilities. It doesn't mean that we're using it for medical diagnosis, but it does mean that it is getting better and better at answering medical diagnosis type questions accurately. And with that in mind, I think that we are going to start to see a shift over the next 10, 15 years toward registered nurses and nursing type professions as being very, very valuable for humans because the human presence matters a lot in providing medical care. But the actual diagnosis, we may be getting to a point where the AI is actually better at diagnosing humans with diseases than doctors are. And so again, it's a situation where you might think that the doctor is the one that retains the power in the scenario because doctors have more knowledge, doctors have to go to school for more years. It's not necessarily true. I think we're getting to a point where the value of incremental knowledge is not necessarily as obvious because the AI can learn so quickly. Could the AI do a doctor's job today from a diagnosis perspective? Not quite, not really. In 5 years? Well, I wonder. And if that's the case, then that's going to put value back on bedside manner. It's going to put value back on humans being kind and caring in the healthcare experience. Things that the AI just is not going to be able to do as effectively. The robots that come and care for you are not going to provide the level of human care and concern that a person can. So when I think about that, I also think about the professional world. Where can we look in our professional lives for human skills that are going to stay with us? This is part of what I'm covering in the AI and careers course that I'm doing on Maven. If you look at your career as a series of investments in long-term payouts from a skill perspective, I believe that there are strong long-term payouts still ahead for human skills. And I think the technical skills are leaning more on AI intelligence allocation, and they're leaning more on how you think about applying artificial intelligence to business problems that have a human component. For instance, the AI might have thought that Google's ads describing a child using a large language model to write to their favorite track star in the Olympics would be a good idea. It's topical. It talks about the capabilities of a large language model correctly and accurately. It's got a cute kid angle. But as a human, it really fell flat. It fell flat because we associate the idea of writing a letter to a star from a kid as a uniquely human activity where we can see the kid using the pencil to form the letters and they're doing their very best. And it just didn't work. And eventually Google had to pull the ad. In those situations, the human perspective on what humans like and what humans want is going to remain critical. I'll also go into the technical side of things. I think that there will remain a ton of value in humans understanding and architecting large software systems over time. So if you're in the developer space, perhaps the value of pumping out code that is often written before and therefore in training models is going down. But the value of solving novel problems as an engineer in an efficient way is something I think that will take longer for the AI to effectively address. And I suspect that that is because humans have particular behavioral needs that other humans understand at scale and can best represent with engineering practices. So if you're trying to understand how CDNs actually respond during a primetime football streaming event, which is something we had to deal with at Prime Video, that is going to depend on a knowledge that people are more likely to tune in and start streaming the game if it is close, if it is in the fourth quarter, if it is going to overtime, things like that. Whereas from an LLM perspective, from an AI perspective, even if it's not an LLM, all you're going to see is a series of previous traffic events. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough to design the system, but I would challenge you and I would say you're going to get better systems long-term with that human perspective, with an understanding of why the software is being used the way it is. So there you go. Just a few little thoughts that I had on how humans can build long-term durable skills and areas where humans are continuing to excel, and I think are likely to continue to excel in the age of AI. Where we have feedback loops that are uniquely human, we are going to remain strong contenders for highly skilled workers, professions, places where we can add value to the market. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't see a lot of potential for AI. Of course I do. It just means that we need to learn, where is AI going to be good and where is AI going to be good by working with us? So on to the brave new world together.